Good.
All right. So thank you everybody to our workshop on mindfulness tools for veterans and families, bridging the gaps. Normally I would be passing this over to Heather to do an introduction, but she's having some technical computer challenges, so we're going to give her some grace in figuring that stuff out. But I do want to note that this is being brought to you by the generosity of our Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs Brain Injury and Recovery program. It's part of our Brain Injury Awareness Month activities. There's a whole series of courses and workshops that we are putting on. And if you'd like to learn more about the other workshops, please go to the WDVA website, Brain Injury and Recovery page, and there's a whole list of the workshops and links to register. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to Janet.
Good. Hi, everybody. I'm Janet Novinger, and just so delighted to be with you today to share um, practices and ideas that have deeply affected me in my life and in the work that I do, both in the workplace sector, so corporations and nonprofits, a lot of Washington state agencies, and also the work that I've been doing in the last 25 years in the brain injury community. And we wanted to title our presentation for today, Mindfulness Tools for Veterans and Families. I would also add for work groups, for colleagues, for friends, how we bridge the gaps. And I think about those gaps as the gaps within us, each one of us, gaps within ourselves, and then gaps between us. And we'll be talking about that today as we go along. Um, I want to share a quote as I advance my slides here and mark my slide. There we go. William James, who is the father of modern American psychology, said, like back in the 1850s, which I find remarkable, the greatest discovery of our generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes and perceptions of mind. And in my own journey with TBI and in supporting many others, including lots and lots of vets and their families as they have lived with TBI and some of the other things that can follow service, I have found that mindfulness is one of the most effective and also easiest tools that we can use to help us move towards health and well-being, altering our lives by altering our perceptions of mind. I wanted to include in the slides, and I'm not going to go over this all today, something that Mark and Heather wrote to really guide us in our study together today. That I just thought was so beautiful, and I thought you might want this as something to keep as a reminder as you get the handouts. We really want to talk about how we connect with ourselves and with other people. We want to acknowledge that many veterans have overstimulation, irritability, fatigue, and cognitive overload, right, to manage. That families and the others who offer us support and caregiving have their own responses to this and their own stress that we can experience as a community. A certain amount of reactivity. Can I say I know this from my own reactivity, and we can bring that reactivity down and communicate with more clarity. And then we really know that whatever our challenges, following service, following living with a chronic condition, mindfulness can be a beautiful support. So, our objectives for today, which Heather and Mark and I wrote as a team, we're going to practice a variety of techniques. And my personal bias, folks, is that that is the central and most important thing that we will do together. Offer some techniques that in the moment can shift us from perhaps fatigue and overwhelm to a sense of calm and clarity. You'll have a recording of this. So it's not like you have to learn everything and remember everything while we're here together, right? You'll be able to go back to the recording and do all of the techniques with me again and again and again. We'll discuss how those techniques help us in our daily activities and help us self-regulate bodies, minds, hearts, spirits when we're under stress. We will discuss how mindfulness sustains and improves our relationships. And I hope we'll develop a shared language of the relationship between mindfulness and regulating our emotions. So I want to stop for just a moment and ask as we begin if anyone has like a particular reaction to these objectives, questions about it, something you were hoping for that's not included. And you could either type in the chat. I'm going to grab a pen here so I can make notes, or unmute yourself and just share for a couple minutes. I'm hoping to get this. And if you love the objectives, that's wonderful too. I take a little longer when we're working with chat because there often seems to be a lag between how much time it takes us to type, right, and then how much time it shows up on the screen. Good. I'm going to move forward, folks. As we move ahead, if you have questions or comments about the techniques themselves or the ideas that we're sharing, please share in chat or unmute yourself. And if you have questions of a more personal nature about your life, Heather and I will be staying online afterwards to talk with you one-on-one or in a smaller group. So, folks, I think the central and most important technique of mindfulness is observing ourselves at any moment that we can catch ourselves. And I'm going to share an awareness technique that actually helps us manage stress and anxiety and brings us into the present moment. Before we go to this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 awareness technique, let's just all take a moment to drop deeply into our own awareness of ourselves. When I do this technique, I tend to close my eyes, and you may see me do this from time to time as I'm instructing you, going deep within, taking 3 or 4 breaths and just noticing the quality of your breathing. Just noticing the quality of your breath, you might notice that your breathing slows down, comes into a deeper part of yourself. Notice the quality of your thoughts. Notice the quality of your feelings, your emotions. I like to have a sense of my hips settling into the surface I'm sitting on, and of my weight being balanced between the right and left hip, and then moving down my body, sensing into my legs and feet, letting my feet press with equal weight, right foot and left foot, supporting me on the ground. I also move up my spine from my hips, and I allow the top of my head to reach towards the sky so that my spine has lengthened. And almost any mindfulness technique that I do, I start with this little introduction to get me in touch with mind, body, heart, and spirit. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 awareness technique is amazing for bringing us into the here and now, this moment, not the past, not the future. And we don't have time to do the entire technique today, but I want to walk you through it so you have it to use in the future if you're feeling stressed or anxious or worried or just could use a little calming. The technique is name 5 things that you can see. And so we look around our present environment and we name 5 things. And today let's just look for one thing that you can see. And even if you've seen it hundreds of times, look at it as though you've never seen it before, as you are a stranger on the planet, noting this odd object. I'm looking at my water bottle, which I carry around with me every day. And so notice details. What's the color? What's the shape? What's the pattern? What's the size? What is beautiful and new and unique and wonderful about this object? There isn't any right or wrong way to do this. It's you focusing on a familiar object and seeing it with a beginner's eyes. And then typically we would name 4 things that we can hear. And again, today, let's just name one. You might close your eyes and just listen, like what jumps out in terms of background noise, either like within your own body, within, the 3 feet in any direction around you. It might be something outside of your space. And just think about what it is, the quality of what you're hearing. For me, in these webinars, the most prominent sound is always the fan on the motor of my computer. That's what I hear first. Name 3 things that you can feel. And again, right now, let's just name one. And again, anywhere in your environment, one thing that you can touch, your desk, your chair, your clothes, notice the texture. Notice the change in contour. Notice the temperature. What do you feel? Name 2 things you can smell is the technique right now. Take a deep breath and identify one thing that you can smell. And folks, I'm at the beginning of a tiny, either a sinus or thing. I'm not smelling anything today, so I leave it up to you. Is there coffee brewing in your space? Can you smell your fingers and smell the soap from the last time you washed your hands? Is there cooking going on in your environment? And then name one thing you can taste. And so you might right now, and what I'm going to do is take a sip from my water bottle, but maybe you can still taste your um, toothpaste from this morning or the last thing you ate. Maybe you have a bite right there that you could eat and take a bite of. What do you taste? And so, folks, what I'm curious, oh, good, good, good. And Leonard, I'm so glad, Leonard and Susan both, so glad that you are already typing into the chat box. So just type into the chat box anything you noticed while practicing this technique. Coffee and coffee, I love that. One of my favorite tastes on the planet. Mark, your heart slowed down. Yes, more focus, beautiful. Breathing is easier. My body relaxed a bit. You began to relax. Beautiful, folks. And so, folks, we are not very far into our webinar and beginning to notice already the biggest gifts that mindfulness has to offer us. And these are techniques you can do anytime, anywhere. And you will have this recording, which you could pause at any moment and continue to do these exercises with me. I find for me, it's easiest to let someone guide me through mindfulness techniques. I always love that. And so this may be helpful to you as you move forward. I'd like to give you a definition of mindfulness by one of the founders of modern American mindfulness, paying attention in a particular way. We are paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. And I want to share, there's so many definitions. A lot of other definitions say, and with compassion to our very human selves. So, key components of the mindfulness that we are practicing today. We want to be in touch with and aware of this moment that we are living in right now, not 5 minutes ago, not 5 minutes in the future. This moment that we are together in community, learning and practicing. We do this deliberately and on purpose. We notice our inner experience like a scientist in a lab. We're not evaluating, we are noticing, noting, and holding on to what we notice to guide us in what practices we might want to do in the future. And then, folks, we have when I talked about looking at things in your environment with beginner's mind, we are curious in the way children and scientists are curious, and we relax our heart and extend compassion to ourselves. If we're stressed, we extend compassion. If we are anxious or depressed, we extend compassion. If we are angry, we extend compassion. In just a minute, I'm going to ask for questions about this material. I think I have one other slide I'd like to share. I want to be clear. I have two other slides I want to share. I want to be clear that mindfulness is not about doing any one of these exercises. Mindfulness is not a specific activity. It is engaging in any activity in our life in a specific way. Any activity you can do can be mindful. And I want to say that this morning, and a mindfulness activity I love. So my little Sonicare toothbrush that I use a couple times a day, which I am really attached to, I will do that as a mindfulness activity. And so I'll try to have no thoughts, a clear mind. I'll feel the temperature of the toothpaste and of the water, the bristles as they run along my gums, the taste of my toothpaste, the pressure, like the vibrating in my fingers and my wrist. And anytime that my mind gets active, which this morning it was like, I hope I do a really good job with these folks today. They are really important to me. I bring my mind back and I notice the temperature, the texture, the taste, the vibration. And in any 2 minutes, I might do that 10 times because my mind thinks, right? That's what my mind is designed to do. It's very active. It is always wanting to work. And then I bring my attention back to the present moment. My mind loves to visit the past and worry about the future. And I want to see this beautiful comment now. This allows one to put aside timeliness, schedules, process. It's a beautiful comment and trim our focus to get the clutter out of our minds. It's we may add that to our next webinar as a definition, Peter. And I'm actually going to ask Heather or Mark to capture this for me because it's beautiful. And folks, doing that for even a little while allows our timelines, our schedules, and our projects to flow with more grace and ease. One last thing, and I want to be very clear about this, folks, is mindfulness the same as meditation? I am not a meditation teacher. I'm a mindfulness teacher. And there are wonderful meditation teachers out there, and meditation is one mindfulness technique that you may want to explore. It's not the only technique. So, can we just take a moment? So, any comments, as Peter had this beautiful comment, any questions about kind of the meat of what I've shared, the information I've shared till now? Good. And again, I take a moment. And folks, you know what? You can use this moment while I'm looking for your comments. Bring your attention to your breath. Relax your body anywhere it's holding tension. Mine is right across my shoulder blades. Allow your body to relax and slow down. Cool. I'm going to move ahead. I welcome comments in the chat box or for you unmuting yourself at any point. Folks, so mindfulness is a bridge between our bodies and our minds. And I want to share this. This is a very standard diagram used in explaining mindfulness. It's called the triangle of awareness. So on the outer points of the triangle, and folks, you can just notice right now, what are the sensations in your body? I shared mine like with my little toothbrushing thing, but we're sitting here together right now. I feel my left fingers balancing on my left thigh, a body sensation. I feel a little tightness across my shoulder blades, tension. What are your body sensations? Feelings. I am feeling so much gratitude for having this hour with you. There's a little bit of anxiety, hoping I'm doing a good job with you. And then thoughts. I would be wondering, are any of the people here having questions that they are not asking? And all of those together, our noticing the places within ourselves and the different parts of ourselves create mindfulness, mindful awareness. And for many of you, one of these things is going to be a stronger place for you to enter mindful awareness. One of them may not work for you at all. You may be really analytical, and maybe your feelings aren't the place that you first notice. And for some of you, it will be like a three-legged stool where you're very balanced between these. You are increasing awareness of this present moment that you're living by noticing these things about your experience. So, I'd love to do a second technique for us together. And we're only going to do this for somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes. It's a technique that has been designed to bridge the space between our thoughts and our breath or our bodies. And it's called the counting backwards breath. And folks, the instructions are really simple. In your mind, and if you're alone and you're muted, you can do it out loud. Count backwards 4, 3, 2, 1 as you breathe. And every time a thought enters your mind, do a reset and start at 4 all over again. And so just kind of repeatedly 4, 3, 2, 1. You might want to make little hash marks on a piece of paper as you count down to see how many times your thought interrupts you before you get down to 1. I had a thought the first time through when I hit about 2. Am I explaining this clearly? And so I start again. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to be silent for 1 minute. The next time you arrive at 1, let this particular practice go. And I'd like to ask how that went for you. You can unmute yourself and tell all of us, right? You can type in the chat box. I'm curious how often you got from 4 to 1 without a thought intruding. I didn't very often.
It was getting easier as I went along, and yeah, it's
Good.
helping calm the work stress that's always in the background.
Yes, Jeff. Yes. And it does get easier with practice. And folks, can I tell you, all of these techniques are things that if you practice them, you will be able to tap into them and get to calm more and more and more quickly. Oh, and Jaylene, I'm so glad that the it felt fast because I often worry that the time is stretching out endlessly in front of you as I am doing these things. Oh, and so some of you are already meditators, and these will probably come with less effort for you if you are already meditating. Good, good. Um, Okay, beautiful. Thoughts swirling in the background without being able to concentrate on them. And so in doing that, we're really lessening the grip of our minds. And folks, our minds are so important. We wouldn't be functioning without them. And yes, there are other parts within us that are as important as our thoughts. And our thoughts can lead us to calm. We also know our thoughts can lead us to anxiety, depression, anger, conflict. They can lead us to let me list some of the happier emotions. They can list us to fond memories and love and happiness and joy. And yet they can lead us very often to looking at the past or looking at the future. And both of those places can create challenges for us. I'm going to move ahead. Oh, you know what? There's one other thing I want to say. I don't expect every single one of you to love every one of these mindfulness practices. I tried to pick a really good assortment so that I hope there's something in all of these. I'll consider it a success, one, two, or three techniques and ideas that you might consider would bless your lives, would enhance your lives in one way or another. So I want to share, I'm going to go quickly with this because you can come back and look at the research on your own. I want you to know that I've been doing this research for at least 20 years and that the things I'm sharing with you are backed up by, scientists in the lab performing certain experiences over the last 3 decades. So the scientists have been doing fMRIs, functional MRIs, for the last 30 years or so, where they are scanning brains in the MRI machine as our brains are assigned a task. And with mindfulness research, they've really three categories of populations: Buddhist monks that have been practicing in monasteries for many years, Catholic nuns that live in convents. So not complete isolation, they're in community, but they are not living out in the world. And then lots and lots of mindfulness students and meditators taking Western mindfulness classes. Lots of this is happening on the East Coast in some of the really well-known hospitals. And so these are the changes that they've shown in the brains of all of these categories of people, from monks and nuns that spend a great deal of their time with mindfulness practice. And for those of us that are living out in the world, they are finding that as little as 10 minutes a day of a mindfulness practice will make these changes in the physical structure of your brain. The part that's in charge of memory and decision making get thicker and bigger. The part of our brains that help us learn get thicker and bigger. The parts of our brain that regulate our emotions get thicker and bigger. The parts of our brain that are in charge of our feelings of empathy and compassion get thicker and bigger. And our brain starts to create more of the neurotransmitters that connect our different cells and the different parts of our brain. We have more neurotransmitters which help with all of our cognitive functions. The fight or flight part of our brain that responds to stress literally physically gets smaller. And folks, we live in a world often where the experiences of our lives and the experience that we are left with after service can really challenge our brains in these ways. Not that all of us would have all of these things going on. And I would say that living on the planet challenges some of these things, right? Just being human, being a family member of a veteran or a professional who works with veterans. We also experience some of these challenges to our brains and our cognitions. And all of us can benefit from regular mindfulness to It's almost like what my little toothbrush does to my teeth, right? It's a tune up and a path towards health for my brain. So I'd like to do another mindfulness practice, and then I'm going to quickly share a little more science, and then we'll pause for another, just a chance for you to make comments or ask questions. So our third mindfulness practice today, mindful moving. And so, can I say, folks, that many of you are probably already doing mindful moving? I teach yoga and I practice yoga every day. I love yoga. I'm a student of Tai Chi and of Qigong. You may be doing Feldenkrais or another martial art. You may be doing Alexander technique. You may be doing mindful walking, or you may be a runner who experiences mindfulness as you run. So it's not one little thing to do, but this is a technique that I think you can do most places that you end up without anybody really noticing. And we are breathing and moving together. So I'm going to sit up a little higher. I want you to be able to see my hand. I'm going to take my other index finger and I'm going to start at the base of my thumb. As I inhale and breathe in, I move the length of my thumb up to my tip of my thumb. And I pause there for just a minute in a little valley that lasts between my inhale and my exhale. And then as I exhale, my finger comes down to this little notch between my thumb and my index finger. And I'm hoping you're doing this with me, folks, because it's a really sweet little practice. And there's a little pause here in the valley. Breathing in, my thumb traces itself against the side, up the side of my index finger, and I rest here for a moment. And then I come down into the valley between index and middle fingers. And so just at your own place, breathe in and feel the connection between the fingers coming up to the tip as you breathe in and then breathing back down. So you can see me as I keep going. You can go at your own pace. When I reach the little finger kind of down at that lower knuckle place, I go backwards. And so I'm going to trace back up, inhaling up, going the other direction, but doing the same thing. We are turning our breath into a whole body experience by marrying this movement on the hands to the breath. This bridges the gap between mind and body. So I hope you experienced that. You can always come back and look at the recording and let me guide you through that, or the handouts may may be enough. But I want to check in with you and just ask any questions about that particular movement, any experiences that you had. Folks, I'll tell you, sometimes when I'm in meetings, I'll do that under the desk. So, like, nobody can see me. If it's a meeting that's getting a little tense and people are disagreeing, I'll do that as a way to calm me down. Sometimes I do deep breathing, but there's something about the getting um, the body involved that makes it more powerful. So. I do it when I'm sitting on a bus, relaxed and focused without stress. Oh, vision clearer now. That is a beautiful um, and subtle way to notice. Lovely. Anybody else? Something you noticed? And folks, really just start to notice. We've done 3 practices now. Start to say, gosh, I liked this one better, this one less, or maybe this one would be more effective for me and my system, this one less so. Evaluate that without any judgment at all. We are all different. Good. Some seems like a good idea. Focusing on your breath. Yes. And you know what? I am the same way too, Jeff. And let me say, I love my deep breathing. As a yoga teacher, good grief, it's one of my favorite things to do, and it isn't always enough. I often need more. Good. Alrighty, folks. A little more research. And folks, real seriously, I've been reading about this stuff for about 20 years. And I want to tell you that so each of us, the challenges within ourselves that we might want to bridge with mindfulness, and then the mindfulness benefits. So I'm going to go down just the list on the left. Challenges within ourselves. We all have life stresses. Some of us have trouble focusing, keeping our attention on one thing. Many of us, our emotions swing, and it can be often and wildly, or it can be, a little more subtle than that. My brain injury has made me much more reactive, folks. One of the sad downsides, right, of my living with my brain injury. Many of us live with depression and anxiety. I know that lots of vets, and I know specifically lots of people that live with brain injury have some pretty consistent pain. Many of us see a decrease and difficulty with our executive functioning, and anger as a specific emotion combined with that reactivity and emotional swings can truly affect us. And so here are some of the things mindfulness does. They turn on, mindfulness turns on our relaxation response. Our heart rate, blood pressure, breathing all go down. And there have been some comments to that effect already. You've gotten, I hope, to experience a bit of that. Mindfulness improves mental focus and it increases positive mood. Beautiful aspect of mindfulness. It increases empathy. It decreases reactivity. Science has shown mindfulness brings down anxiety and depression and pain. It increases our cognitive function, and what they have studied the most is our ability to problem solve and be creative. And again, it increases our empathy. This is the bridge within ourselves, how mindfulness bridges the challenges within ourselves. Here is how mindfulness addresses and bridges the challenges between us and all of our relationships. When any one of us, when I have a negative mood, everyone around me feels the impact of that. Mindfulness increases positive mood and relationships improve. Rapidly changing moods can really be difficult on the people around us. Mindfulness stabilizes moods. That reactivity piece, we are often misunderstanding others and they are misunderstanding us. Mindfulness improves how we understand and listen. It teaches us to pause, just like when we trace up our finger and pause at the top and trace down our finger and pause at the bottom. Mindfulness teaches pauses. Anger outbursts are hurtful to the people around us, and mindfulness increases empathy. Folks, I'm going to skip this next slide because it is a repeat. And I want to talk because I think this is just kind of a summary. There's something very important about emotional regulation that I want to talk about and then share some techniques for bridging the space between us. I think for most stressed humans, emotional regulation can be a challenge. And I know in our veteran community, I know in my brain injury community, I know in the people that are either working with or living with all of us that our emotional regulation individually really affects other people. So we gain emotional stability in relationship much more so than we gain emotional stability on our own. We are designed to live in community. We are designed to be social beings. When we are with each other physically, and folks, I have found to some extent that this is true online because I've taught a lot of yoga online. I've taught a lot of mindfulness online. What is going on inside our own bodies, our physiology, our breath, our heart rate, our heart waves, our pulse, our brain waves, they line up so that they are similar. And this has been tested in the lab for the last 30 years. And we know that it is, in effect, at least 20 feet away from each other, and even people on the other side of a physical wall. And we think that that is only the beginning. So when I prepare to be with you folks, I spend about 45 minutes before we were together being calm and doing deep breathing so that I could lend you my physiology for a little while, and so that I wouldn't be stressed when I'm with you, which would help none of us. When we are near each other, we catch each other's emotions like the viruses that like the little flu that we're all passing around right now. We catch each other's virus. We get we catch each other's feelings. And the good news, folks, is that cheerfulness and warmth are the easiest emotions to catch. And again, I think that's like a biological survival mechanism. We definitely catch each other's irritability. Depression actually doesn't spread. And I'm sorry to see you go and very glad to be with you. Folks, here is what we worry about when we are living with the effects of past trauma, that within ourselves, we experience a strong downward spiral and that we catch others around us up in that downward spiral. And it's one of the ways mindfulness can help us. The person experiencing the strongest emotions is the person who spreads the emotions most. And then last point, and folks, this is really important. Our brains look to each other for smiles and laughter. It's the shortest distance between any two brains. You don't have to be a stand-up comic. It's not about being funny. It's about connecting. And our brains want us to be what's called emotionally hijacked. We want another person to bring us into their happy and positive register. So, I want to talk about several techniques we can use when we are with others and to put these emotional regulation, I'm not finding the word I want, but the things we know about regulation, I want when we are with others to head that in a positive direction for all of us. So just as we sit here together, and if you're standing as we stand here, I can't see you all, and if you're at a standing next or not, a desk or not, bring all of your attention into your feet, sensing into the feet. And in the same way that earlier with our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise, we noticed our senses, you might notice the temperature of your feet. You might sense, is the weight distributed equally between left foot and right foot, between the toes and the heels, between the outside of the foot and the inside of the foot. You might notice an itching in the foot or the texture of your foot covering. You might notice the places that your foot is aware of the ground and that the ground is aware of your foot. And so techniques that we can do in groups, work groups, family groups, friend groups, when we are working with each other one-on-one in a professional capacity. When you get into the car together, before the engine starts, let everybody get settled and feel pretty well seated in their seat, and then have everybody sense into their feet on the surface of the car. When you are sharing a meal with others, take 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes of silence. Take the first 3 bites of food together mindfully, and you would, kind of like with my toothbrush, notice how the food tastes. Notice how the food smells. Notice how your jaw feels when you're chewing, the kind of the movement of the jaw, the sense of saliva pouring into the mouth, the sense of the food across the tongue. And then you might even, with both of these, 1 and 2, you might even spend a minute or two sharing your experience and learning what those mindful moments were like with others. When yours or others' emotions begin to spiral in a challenging direction, breathe together, put a stop to it, and breathe together for 2 minutes. And the next slide is a suggestion for that. And then, folks, smile at each other as often as you can. Do it on purpose, do it with love, do it deliberately, and change the spiral of the mood into a positive and upward emotional spiral. So, a couple last techniques. I recommend that as people who are working with these things, that each of us learn to guide deep breathing. And it is as easy as having one person say, as you breathe in, I breathe in calm. I breathe out stress or any other emotion that is affecting you and the group right now. I breathe in calm. I breathe out stress. I breathe in peace. I breathe out anger. I breathe in balance. I breathe out fear. Anybody in the group can lead that. Anybody in the family, anybody in the friend group, anybody in the work group. And then my last technique, because we know that mindfulness increases empathy and compassion, we can do what we call sending well wishes to each other. You can think this or you can say this out loud. I often put my hand on my heart and one hand extended out, and I wish for all of you right now, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be at peace. I wish for you all to experience loving kindness, May you be kind. May you experience love. May you live well. May you be grounded and happy. And folks, that is the end of what I have to share with you today. I think it's always a good thing to jot down a couple things you want to remember. I always think like it's great, and 2 hours later, I remember nothing. You'll have your handouts in the recording. What's the single most important thing that you noticed today? And Mark has posted the I'm so sorry, I can't say the word, the evaluation. And it's really helpful if you would take a minute. And then we'll stay online for a few minutes to talk with you. Those of you that don't have to rush on to the next meeting, right? Or that have an individual question or that want to make a comment. And we also invite your comments as you go. Mark and Heather and I have worked so beautifully as a team. I have to tell you, they are just an absolute delight to work with. And it's really been a pleasure and an honor to have this hour with you today. Yeah. Thank you so much for those of you that are sending well wishes back to me and to Heather and Mark. Our pleasure. And again, folks, we worked as a team to design this for you. Everyone's ideas are included. Oh, good. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Oh, thank you so much. And please look at the recording afterwards. You'll get the link, and I think that you know with the recording you can do the exercises right along with us.
And
Mm,
I will just put a quick plug in here too. We are working with Janet to offer this program monthly.
yeah.
Um, So, second Thursday of each
Yeah.
month, if you are interested in attending others, there will be registration information on Heather's brain injury and recovery webpage. So you can link to it there. The next couple of sessions will also be virtual. We are planning a live session up at the King County Veterans Program Service Office in June, up in their Northgate office. And more to follow. We appreciate everybody who attended, and if you have questions for Janet and or Heather, please hang on the line.
Good. Good. And folks, can I say there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mindfulness techniques, right? We've only just begun, and different ones will work better for individuals and um, practicing together is the way that we find out the value and develop the discipline and motivation to practice alone. I practiced with teachers for years before I ever did anything at home on my own. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Janet. Thank you,
Oh,
everybody
Heather.
that is slowly dropping off, but
Yeah.
I had to keep turning my camera on and off. For some reason it Zoom wanted to like slow down like the audio on it, and I didn't want to lose anybody.
Heather, we are still not working in a perfect technological world,
Ah,
are we?